My name is Janet Lee. I'm the founder of the Storyco Market and Brand, and I'm so pleased to be your MC for this morning. I would now like to call upon Jill Bolton, President of WESK, to formally welcome you and recognize some of our special guests this morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Janet. And a warm welcome to you all. I'm very pleased to have you all here this morning to share this milestone moment for WESK and bring greetings on behalf of the WESK board. It is also a pleasure for me to formally introduce you to our guests this morning. Firstly, a woman who really needs no introduction is Honorable Tina Beaudry-Mallour, Minister of Advanced Education, Minister responsible for Innovation Saskatchewan, Minister responsible for the Status of Women Office, and MLA for Regina University. Thank you, Minister Beaudry-Mallour, for joining us, and we will look forward to your remarks shortly. Beside the Minister is Prabha Mitchell, CEO of WESK, who will lead us through the report's landmark findings, and Natasha Vanderhoer, who is CEO of 3 Farmers, who joins us this morning to share her story as being a woman entrepreneur. I'd also like to recognize the members of the WESK board who were able to join us this morning. We have Danielle Graff with MLT Aikens, we have Amy Schulhauser with Tangerine, and Lee Kaufman with Sanger Kaufman. Whenever we can gather to shed light on how to make our province more robust and globally competitive through the advancement of women entrepreneurs, we know it's going to be a good day indeed. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jill. I would now like to call upon Minister Beaudry-Mallour to offer her remarks.
So I spent about an hour redrafting remarks that are not loading. So I'm going to wing it, which is sometimes fun. I'm really pleased, first of all, to be here. I want to thank Janet for the introduction. I want to thank Jill Bolton for her leadership on the WESK board. And I particularly would like to thank Prabha Mitchell, who is a very, very strong partner for the government of Saskatchewan, and particularly for me in my role as Minister responsible for the status of women. It's my great pleasure to be here on behalf of Premier Scott Moe and the government of Saskatchewan. In Saskatchewan, there are 34,000 female entrepreneurs, and this represents about a 16.5% increase over the last 10 years, and it's the 3rd highest rate in the country. 34,000 women are making a major impact, not only providing goods and services, but also creating jobs. As most of you know, small business is the backbone of our provincial economy, accounting for about 31% of our GDP. In my travels across the province, I too have heard about the challenges entrepreneurs face in accessing capital, both on the startup side, but also when it comes time to scale up their businesses. For women, this problem is further pronounced by a number of gendered challenges. There's still a perception of gender-based lending risk in the financial industry, and there's also the gendered resistance of women themselves to pursue aggressive business growth strategies. We're also challenged by the digital revolution. Technology is moving at a very rapid pace to disrupt our traditional economies and business processes. During my time at the G20 in early September, I learned from the OECD that globally, women account for only about a 1/3 of the education and labor force in the STEM fields. This is a really significant problem because it means that if we do not intervene right now to course correct, the labor force gains of the last several decades are going to start to reverse. The WESK report talks about this and the very real risk that is faced by the dominance of women in the service sectors in the face of automation. The only way to address this is to encourage women, and especially our female entrepreneurs, to skill up and disrupt or be disrupted. Our government is working on a number of these issues. As many of you know, last spring we introduced the Saskatchewan Technology Startup Incentive, which is the most aggressive angel investment tax credit in the country. It provides a 45% tax incentive to early stage startups as a way to incentivize investors in this province to help build our entrepreneurial ecosystem. And it is deliberately focused on tech. We'll be keeping an eye on how the rollout of this program illustrates areas we need to improve to attract more female founders and investors in this space. Through Innovation Saskatchewan, Carrie Harvey has been hosting Ladies in Tech events in Regina and Saskatoon as a way to build business support networks that the WESK report talks about. And while it is not discussed in the WESK report, our government is going to be conducting a curriculum review for the K-12 system, which will include coding and financial literacy as a mandated part of the curriculum. This is key. Although Innovation Saskatchewan has done some great work to bring coding and robotics to First Nations reserves, these were pilot programs, and ensuring that everyone, both women and Indigenous people, have access to the essential tools of the future economy reduces the risk that both of those groups will be left behind in an entrepreneurial and tech-focused economy in the days ahead. Finally, our post-secondary partners can also help. I've been talking to our sector partners about the need to think about computer science and software engineering and the entrepreneurial ecosystem in our province. Both universities have been using their Innovation Place as incubators for small startups, and Sask Poly has gone further to include prototyping for new products for small and medium-sized enterprises who otherwise wouldn't have the capital to invest in that. This week, I'm spending a lot of time with the Hill School at both their dinner and judging some of the JDC West cases, and under the leadership of the new Dean, Dr. Gina Grandi, I'm hopeful that we'll continue to see the rise in the number of women pursuing business and entrepreneurship. The point is that the very important work that Women Entrepreneurs of Saskatchewan has done here is part of the larger picture that we are working on in government. And I am so pleased to have such strong and engaged partners to help grow and diversify our economy. When our economy grows, we can continue to invest in the other side of the ledger, on things like reducing domestic violence and interpersonal violence against women and abuse. And so I want to thank Prava and Jill and your teams for this very, very important work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. And now, for the heart of the reason of gathering today, please welcome Prava Mitchell, CEO of WESK, to release the findings of the National Study on Women Entrepreneurship in Canada. Prava.
Good morning. Thank you, Janet. Honorable Tina Baudry-Miller, board members of WESK, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here this morning. This is a historic day for WESK as we launch our first public report about women entrepreneurs in Canada. As an immigrant that moved to Canada about 33 years ago, I say we live in one of the best countries in the world. And I say we live in one of the best provinces in Canada. And I have facts to support that notion. Canada has the highest participation of women engaged in early stage entrepreneurial activity. Canada ranks 5th among innovation-based countries in terms of women who engage in established business ownership. And we rank 3rd amongst 57 economies on women's advancement outcomes. Despite this, women entrepreneurs in Canada are challenged. Canada has tremendous opportunities to lead the world, and the development of the Women Entrepreneurship Strategy is one step in that direction. Saskatchewan, as you know, is a province of innovation. There are many pieces of innovation that have come out of our province. The ATM machine, air ambulance, air seeding, wind turbine, to name a few. A recent Stats Canada report indicated that Saskatchewan demonstrated the fastest growth in women-owned business when you combined majority female-owned business with equally owned businesses. So let's celebrate that achievement, but also let's take pause and leverage the unrealized potential of women entrepreneurs in our province. Indigenous people account for 5% of the population in Canada, and they account for 16% of the population in Saskatchewan. We must work to address the unique barriers that Indigenous women entrepreneurs face in our province. Saskatchewan has the opportunity to lead the nation. The time is now, and we must seize the opportunity to close this gap. This report is not a verdict on the federal government. This report is not a verdict on the provincial government, but this report is a catalyst, an impetus to come together collectively, collaboratively, to unleash opportunities for women entrepreneurs and boost economic growth. I call on our governments, I call on private sector, I call on our business community to come together, and I emphasize, we must work with our male entrepreneurs, we must work with our male business leaders to drive this change. So now I'm going to take a few minutes to give you a snapshot of the findings. Finding number 1. Saskatchewan lags behind in terms of majority female-owned enterprises. So Saskatchewan ranks first in terms of equally owned enterprises at 29% compared to the national average of 18%. But when it comes to majority female-owned enterprise, Saskatchewan is at 13.7% with the national average at 15.7%. Ontario and BC lead the nation at 17%, and we say we can do it in Saskatchewan. Finding number 2, financing, like the minister said, still continues to be the #1 barrier for women entrepreneurs. According to a BMO poll, 42% of women who were surveyed said financing and access to capital is their biggest hurdle. Women entrepreneurs rely heavily on internal capital, personal savings, credit cards, and they do not raise the adequate amounts of money externally. And this undercapitalization really impacts their ability to scale their business, to hire employees, to innovate, to create new products and services. According to an Industry Canada survey, only 45% of majority female-owned businesses sought external credit, compared to 53% of men. This is astounding what I'm just about to say. Rejection rates for women were 66% compared to 36% for men. And a judgment that women-owned enterprises operated in an unstable environment accounted for about 66% compared to about 25% for men. So there's a lot of work for us to do. Finding number 3, women lack networks, training, and mentors. Surprisingly, networks are crucial accelerators in closing the gender gap. Networks help women build reputation. They actually help women access capital because the people that are making decisions about investments on these investment teams rely on these networks to make those decisions. And we know that we don't have enough women in decision-making roles on these investment teams. Women also said, nearly half of women also said that mentorship was really important and they did not have access to mentors. A barometer survey in 2013 found a strong correlation between those women who were actively involved in networking events and taking training and workshops and their access to capital. So this is really important for women entrepreneurs. Finding number 4, work-life balance fosters lean in entrepreneurship. Now this is a really interesting finding. So the report indicates that the motivation for women and men to start a business is similar. Both want freedom, flexibility, they want to be able to pursue their passion, and they want to be able to create a new service or product. Having said that, the report also suggests that there were nuances, there were slight variations, because women reported a higher percentage when it came to, I am pursuing entrepreneurship because I need the income. So there's a bit of a higher percentage reporting on that. The key to all of this is, and the major difference is that women have a greater desire for work-life balance. And indeed, that shapes the portrait of women entrepreneurs in our province and in our country. Number 5, finding number 5, immigrants are more likely to become entrepreneurs. 1 in 5 in Canada, 1 in 5 is foreign born. So immigrants account for 22% of our population. It's the largest it's ever been in the last decade. So according to 2016 census, 10.5% of our population in Saskatchewan are immigrants. And we've seen an increase in immigration over the last 3 years. I moved to Saskatchewan in 2001, and I understand we have 1,800 immigrants then. And between 2011 and 2016, we've had almost 50,000 immigrants. So our landscape in our province is changing dramatically. And the study found that SME owners are slightly more likely to be born outside of Canada. Slightly more likely to be born outside of Canada at 25% compared to male owners at 20%. And it also suggested that immigrants have a slightly higher tendency to become entrepreneurs. And immigrant women are more of risk takers. Finding number 6. As the minister said earlier, about 375 million people in our global workforce will be displaced because of automation, and they will have to find new occupations. The impact is much greater on women because women entrepreneurs in particular are in service industries, are in the financial industry, we are in the insurance industry. The digital revolution will impact 23% of women compared to 17% of men. And so this is important for us to take stock of. It is important for us to encourage women in terms of pursuing education in the STEM fields and supporting women to develop high technology ventures and support their initiatives in these non-traditional areas. Final finding, number 7, balancing family with innovative entrepreneurship is a challenge. Women tend to start businesses at a later stage, and the highest participation for women in entrepreneurial activity is between ages 25 to 34 and 35 to 44. In between between the ages of 25 and 30, women have children, and it becomes really difficult for women to balance their personal responsibilities with the pursuit of aggressive growth strategies. So I'm going to wrap up, and I will wrap up with a quick snapshot of our recommendations. To move ahead in the province of Saskatchewan, we will need good data that is based in Saskatchewan so that it can inform policy decisions. We must foster lean in entrepreneurship so that women are choosing entrepreneurship. We must foster a culture of innovation because we know that women innovate every day, everywhere, in different ways, and we need to support that and balance that off with supporting women in technological ventures. We need to promote women entrepreneurship in technology. That is critical in light of the digital revolution. We must support women in accessing networks, business networks, and mentors. We must dedicate venture capital funds to women entrepreneurs. And lastly, but not least, we must address the issue of Indigenous women entrepreneurs in our province, and based out of the report, also look into women entrepreneurs, immigrants who potentially would be interested in entrepreneurship as an option. So thank you very much. That is, it's a nutshell on the findings of the report, and the report is went live this morning at 6:30, so it is on our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabha. That is indeed a landmark study. We wanted to demonstrate that this data is happening in real time every day with so many women entrepreneurs in our province. And so here to talk today about her journey through entrepreneurship is Natasha Vanderhoer of 3 Farmers. Many of you will probably remember Natasha from their successful debut on the Dragon's Den. And today she's going to share her experience both with the opportunities and the barriers that she's encountered on her journey as an entrepreneur. Natasha.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Prabha and WESK, PwC, and all those that have contributed to the study and the findings, well done, and thank you. This is extremely important work, and without people willing to take on the challenge of studying and measuring this data, change cannot occur. As an entrepreneur pursuing aggressive growth, I've experienced many of the challenges highlighted in this study. I'm part owner and CEO of 3 Farmers Foods, based here in Saskatchewan. We're a food manufacturer that's focused on healthy, wholesome, plant-based snacks. Our brand retails in thousands of grocery and convenience stores across the country. Some of you may be familiar with our roasted chickpea line, our pea pops, and our newest launch, our crunchy little lentils. Our products are grown right here in Saskatchewan, and we recently completed a $1.5 million expansion to our roasting facility just outside of Moose Jaw. This is the start of an aggressive push to grow our market share and secure our status of the leading brand of roasted pulse-based snacks in Canada. As a company pursuing aggressive growth, essentially doubling sales year over year, access to capital is crucial for us at this time. We've had many discussions with venture capital and funds within the Prairie provinces. These opportunities hinge on the viability and confidence that prospective shareholders have in the company leadership. Recently, I was meeting with the newly formed advisory board, and it was suggested to me that we should speak to a specific female-run venture fund, as she had special interest in females and female-run companies. My question to this is, would other funds not be interested in a high-growth company that has a clear path to success and a proven track record? Apparently, female-run funds are indeed needed if this is the mindset that we're experiencing from business owners out in the field. This study also addresses work-life balance. I think every entrepreneur faces this challenge of balancing excessive work pressure with their home life. It's not an easy task. Women entrepreneurs do have added challenges, especially when raising young families. The demands on our time are extremely high, making it difficult to participate in networking events and building supportive ecosystems that will help scale our businesses. We need to support this lean-in mentality that WESK suggests. We need to encourage women to accept this challenge, to lean into their abilities, and to provide them with a supportive framework that encourages them to realize their talents, no matter their age or their stage of life. The findings of this study need to be taken seriously. We need to evaluate our programs and the business environment that we work within and ask ourselves, can we do better? For myself, if I didn't have the support of my family, my mentors, and the amazingly talented business people that I surround myself with, this would be nearly impossible. Let's strive to create that same supportive ecosystem for the Saskatchewan female entrepreneurs that are out there today. Let's help foster opportunities that lead to greater economic impact for our province and for our country. Once again, thank you, WESK, for shining a light on this subject. I look forward to watching the impact that this study has on our communities moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. That is always an inspiring story. We appreciate you coming today to share it with us. This does conclude the formal portion of our media conference. We would like to thank each and every one of you for coming this morning. We hope you feel the energy of possibility that is in this room. We also hope that you take on personally to act upon closing the gap for women entrepreneurs in Saskatchewan. So please feel free to mix and mingle, enjoy some coffee and tea that is set up in the hallway, share your stories with each other, and we're happy to invite the media to stay behind, and we'd love to answer any questions you have. Thank you to Minister Baudry-Miller, to Prabha, to Jill, and to all of, we think of all of you as our special guests this morning, and we look forward to closing the gap. Thank you.